The first question says a fruit drink is made using 1.5 liters of apple juice and 450 milliliters of mango juice. Write the ratio of apple juice to mango juice in its simplest form. So we need to convert the units for both the juices in the same units. Either it can be in liters or in milliliters. So it's easier to convert the liters into milliliters because you just have to times this by 1,000. So 1.5 times 1,000 is going to be 1,500. Reason why I times it by 1,000 is because 1 liter equals to 1,000 milliliters. So 1.5 times 1,000 is 1,500 milliliters. So now apple juice is to mango juice. Apple juice is 1,500. Mango juice is 450. We can begin with cancelling out the 0. So now we have 150 is to 45. So now 150 divided by 5 is 30, and 150 divided by 45 is 9. 30 divided by 3 is 10, and 9 divided by 3 is 9. So your answer is 10 is to 3. Part B says 1 liter of fruit drink is shared between 3 cups. The amount in the cups is in the ratio of 9 is to 6 is to 10. Calculate the number of milliliters in each cup. So we know 1 liter basically equals to 1,000 milliliters. Okay. So we need to figure out how the fruit drink is shared between each of these cups. So for the first cup, we'll do 9 over 25 times 1,000. Why 9 over 25? Because if we add 9, 6, and 10, that gives us 25. So whatever cup we're talking about, we write that in the numerator, and the sum of the ratio in the denominator. Then we times that by 1,000 in this case. So that's going to give us 360 milliliter. Then in the next case, it's going to be 6 over 25 times 1,000. And that's going to give us 240 milliliter. Last case, 10 over 25 times 1,000. And that's going to give us 400 milliliters. So now the first cup, it's 360. The second cup, it's 240. And the last cup, it's 400. That is your answer. Patsi's shop buys bottles of the fruit drink for $3.20 each. It sells them at a profit of 15%. Calculate the selling price of each bottle of fruit drink. So if they're buying it at $3.20 each and selling them at a profit of 15%. So we need to find 115% of 3.2, which is 3.68. So 3.68 is the selling price of the fruit drink. Alternate method is that you can find 15% of 3.2 and then add that to 3.2. So 3.2 times 15 divided by 100 is 0.48. And 0.48 plus 3.20 is also 3.68. Both methods are correct. You can just begin with finding 115% of the buying price, or you can find 15% and then add that to the buying price to get the final selling price. Then it says the number of bottles of fruit drinks sold has grown exponentially at a constant rate of 2.5% per year. So it's growing exponentially at a constant rate of 2.5% per year. 5 years ago, the shop sold 16,620 bottles. Calculate the number of bottles sold this year. When you talk about exponential growth, basically the formula we're using is initial amount or principal amount times 1 plus r over 100 to the power of time. So over here, our initial amount 5 years ago was 16,620. Interest rate is 2.5 over 100. Always write it in like a fraction form, never as a percentage, to the power of 5. Because we're talking about 5 years ago. So 1 plus 2.5 over 100 to the power of 5 times 16,620 basically equals to 18,804 bottles. So that's your answer. If it was talking about exponential decline, like it was decreasing exponentially, then you would do P times 1 minus R over 100 over T. This is exponential decrease. This is increase. Part C says the bottles of juice are 18.5 centimeters tall, correct to the nearest millimeter. They are stored on shelves. The distance between the shelves is 23 centimeters, correct to the nearest centimeter. Calculate the lower bound for the distance d centimeters between the top of the bottle and the shelf above it. So, the bottle of the juice is 18.5 centimeter, correct to the nearest millimeter. So, we know that 1 millimeter, 1 millimeter is equal to 1 over 10 centimeters. So let's first divide the degree of accuracy, which is 0.1 over here. We divide the degree of accuracy by 2. So that's 0.1 divided by 2, which is 0.05. They're saying calculate the lower bound for the distance z centimeters. So which means we're going to subtract 18.5 from 23. But since we're talking about the lower bound, so we need to make sure that this is your lower bound and this is your upper bound. Now, the reason why I'm not choosing both lower bounds for the distance of the bottle and the shelf is because they want the lower bound of the distance. So for the least value, if we subtract the big value from the small value, we get the least possible value, which is exactly what the lower bound is. So in difference of lower bound, we subtract upper bound from lower bound. And if they were asking us to find upper bound of the difference, then we do upper bound minus lower bound. So it's the opposite. So over here, this is your bottle. So for the bottle, our upper bound is going to be 18.5 plus 0.05, which is 18.55 centimeters. Now we do for the shelf. We first divide the degree of accuracy by 2. Degree of accuracy over here is to the nearest centimeter. So that's going to be 1 divided by 2, which is 0.5. So over here, we try to find the lower bound. So lower bound will be 23 minus 0.5, which is 22.5 centimeters. So our final value is going to be 22.5 minus 18.55, which is going to give us 3.95 centimeters. This is your lower bound of B. Once again, when we're talking about difference in like upper bound and lower bound, so if we want to find the upper bound in difference, then what we do is we subtract the lower bound from the upper bound because then we get the biggest value because you're subtracting the minimum value from the maximum value. If we're talking about the lower bound in differences, so what we do is we subtract the maximum value, which is the upper bound, from the minimum value, which is the lower bound. And that gives us the least value, which is exactly what we did over here. We started with finding the degree of accuracy, then we divide the degree of accuracy by 2 for both the shelf and the bottle. Find the relevant information, whether it's the upper bound and lower bound, and then use that to find the lower bound for the distance, the centimeters. If you're still struggling with understanding what's happening in upper bound, lower bounds when it comes to difference, division, multiplication, addition, I'm going to attach links to different videos for all 4 categories in the description. Click them, check them out, and if you're still struggling with understanding anything, let me know in the comments below. I'll help you out again. Question 2 says diagram shows a straight line intersecting 2 parallel lines. Find the value of A and the value of B. So if this is 38, angle A is supplementary to 38. So A is 180 minus 38, which is going to give us 142 degrees. For B, A and B are going to be equal because they're alternate angles. Alternate angles are equal in parallel lines. This was supplementary angles. So alternate angles are equal in parallel lines, which means B is also going to be 142 degrees. Part B says calculate the interior angle of a regular 12-sided polygon. Interior angle has the formula of n minus 2 times 180 divided by n. N being your number of sides. And this formula is used when you have a regular polygon, not an irregular polygon. So 12 minus 2 times 180 over 12. So 12 minus 2 is 10. 10 times 180, 1800. 1800 divided by 12 is 150 degrees. That's your answer. If they were asking you to find the exterior angle has the formula of 360 over n. This is your exterior angle formula. Part-C diagram shows circle, center O. The points M, N, and P lie on the circumference of the circle. AMB is a tangent to the circle at M. Find the value of F and the value of G. So this line is our tangent. So whenever your tangent is touching the circle, it makes a 90-degree angle with the radius. This is 90. So we can easily find this angle by, this is OMB, which is going to be 90 minus 56, and that's going to give us 34. Now, another thing you need to remember is that this line is going from the center towards the circumference, which means OM is the radius. Same cases for OP, it's going from the center towards the circumference. So OM equals to OP, which equals to the radius. So that means this line is equal to this line, which means this angle is going to equal to this angle. Hence, G equals to 34. Now for F, if this is 34 and this is 34, we can find this by doing angle MOP, which is 180 minus 34 minus 34, which gives us 112 degrees. So that's 112. So for angle F, it's going to be 112 divided by 2, which is 56. Now, the reason why we're dividing 112 by 2 is because in circle theorems, angle at the center is twice the angle at the circumference. So F is at the circumference and 112 is at the center. So F is basically 112 divided by 2. And that's 56. Part D says diagram shows a cyclic quadrilateral. Find the value of K. So remember, in a cyclic quadrilateral, all the vertices are supposed to touch the circumference of the circle. If, let's say, you have this circle over here, and this is your quadrilateral inside the circle. So this is not a cyclic quadrilateral because the vertices are not touching the circumference. Because this one is not touching it. This is, but not. So this is why it's not a cyclic quadrilateral. So to make sure that you know what your cyclic quadrilateral is, remember that all the vertices need to touch the circumference. Now, going back to the question, they're asking us to find the value of K. In a cyclic quadrilateral, always remember, first thing, the vertices need to touch the circumference. And secondly, opposite angles add up to 180, which means this angle and this angle would add up to 180. This angle and this angle would add up to 180. Okay. Over here, they've given us angle 24 and 27. And we can see that this thing, if we highlight this is making a triangle over here inside this quadrilateral. So using this triangle, we can find the angle at the top, which is going to be, I'm going to call this X. X is going to be 180 minus 24 minus 27, which equals to 129 degrees. Now to find K, we know that K and 129 would add up to 180. So 180 minus 129 equals to K, which is basically going to give us 51 degrees. That is your answer. Question 3 says the table shows the time that each of 40 students takes to travel to school. Calculate an estimate of the mean. So like we've discussed before, when you have group data, you have range of values, you have these class intervals. To find the mean, we have to find the midpoint of all of those class intervals. So those midpoints act as our x values. So we make a row over here. For 0 to 10, the midpoint is 5. For 10 to 25, your midpoint is going to be 17.5. For 25 to 40, your midpoint is going to be 32.5. And for 40 to 60, your midpoint is going to be 50. So mean is basically sigma fx divided by sigma f. This is your f value, this is your x value. Sigma fx basically means you multiply your frequency and midpoint value and then add the result to each consecutive set. So you multiply 3 and 5, then add that to 18 times 17.5 and so on. And sigma f is your sum of frequency, which is given as 40 students. So this is going to be 5 times 3 plus 18 times 17.5 plus 15 times 32.5 plus 4 times 50. And all of this is divided by 40. That leaves us with 1017.5 over 40, which equals to 25.44. That is your mean value. Next part is on the grid, draw a histogram to show the information in the table. So to show the information in the table, we need to find the frequency density, which is indicated by the graph. So for the frequency density, the formula is frequency over class width. Class width is the difference between your intervals, and frequency is already given. So for the first category, it's going to be 3 over 10, which is 0.3. Then for the second category, it's going to be 18 over 15, which is going to give us 1.2. Then it's 15 over 15, which is 1. And lastly, it's 4 over 20, which is 0.2. So these are our frequency density values. So let's just make that over here. So for 0.3, then we have 10 to 25. So that's 0.1.2. Then 25 to 40 is going to be 1. And 0.2 is this. So this is your histogram. Then it says 2 students are selected at random from the 40 students. Calculate the probability that one student takes more than 25 minutes and the other student takes 10 minutes or less to travel to school. 10 minutes or less is this category. More than 25 minutes is this. So for the probability, we can say that either it's 19, 15 plus 4 over 40 times 3 over 39, or we're picking this one first, so 3 over 40 times 19 over 39. There is no strict rule as to who you're picking first. They haven't told us that we're picking first the less than 10 one or the more than 25 one. So it can go both ways. So in the first case, we're picking more than 25 one first and then the less than 10. And the reason why 40 is becoming 39 because we're taking out one person from this data set. So there's one less. Hence, the total reduces to 39. And in the next case, we're taking the one who travels less than 10 minutes first, and the one who takes more than 25 minutes next. So this is going to be a probability. And the final answer is going to be 19 over 260. Part B says there's some information about the time that 200 people took to fill a questionnaire. The longest time was 30 minutes. The median was 22 minutes. The lower quartile was 8 minutes. The interquartile range was 19 minutes. And the range was 25 minutes. Write down the shortest time taken. So if you remember, range is your max minus minimum. Range is 25. Max is 30. Minimum is what we need to find. So minimum would be 30 minus 25, which is 5. So 5 minutes is the shortest time taken. Then it's asking, on the grid, draw a box and Whisker plot to show this information. So for this, minimum was at 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is our minimum point, and maximum is 30. Maximum point. Then median is at 22. Lower quartile is at 8. Upper quartile, we don't know, but we know the interquartile range. So interquartile range is basically upper quartile minus lower quartile. That's 19 equals to x minus 8. So 19 plus 8, which is 27. So 27 is our upper quartile. So now we just connect the box. This is your box in the square. George says that 101 of the 200 people took more than 22 minutes to fill in the questionnaire. Explain why he's wrong. That's wrong because if you look at our median values are 22. And over here, this is our upper quartile range. That's not possible because half of the people took 22 minutes. That is the median value. So 101 is like more than like half. So it's inaccurate. Since half of the people took 22 minutes to fill out the form, George is incorrect because he's claiming that 101 people took more than 22 minutes. So you'll just write half of the people took 22 minutes. Question 4, the diagram shows a tank in the shape of a half cylinder of radius 12 centimeters and length 1 meter. I'm going to go with the 1 meter into 100 centimeters right over here. The tank is fixed horizontally and is completely filled with water. Calculate the volume of water in the tank, giving the answer correct to the nearest 10 centimeter cube. So for this, we know that volume of a cylinder is pi r square h. Pi r square h. But since it's half of a cylinder, so the volume we're going to use is pi r square h divided by 2. R is 12. Height is 100 over 2. And that is going to give us 22,619.5 centimeter cube. They're asking us to give the answer correct to the nearest 10 centimeter cube. So that's going to be 22,620 centimeter cube. That's your answer. Remember, always, like whenever you have like measurements given and the metric units are different, make them same initially. Choose one set and make them same. And if they haven't, like over here, they specified as centimeters. So then obviously convert the meter into centimeter. But if they haven't specified, then what you do is you pick one, whichever is easier for you to solve, and just convert all the lengths to that and then find the answer. Then it says water is removed from the tank until the level of water is 6 centimeter below the top of the tank. Diagram shows the cross section of the tank. Calculate the volume of water that is now in the tank. So we know this was 12 and 12 over here initially. Now this is 6. They want us to find the volume of the water that is now in the tank. So this is what we need to find. So for that, This is a very tricky question. What we're going to do is, we know that originally the radius was 12, which means if we draw a line from here to here, this is also the radius because we're going from the center towards the circumference. Similarly, this is also the radius because we're going from the center towards the circumference. Hence, this is also 12 and this is also 12. Okay. This is a right angle triangle over here. If I make this right angle triangle separately outside, this is 6, this is 12, this is 90. So if you notice, this is a right angle triangle. We have the hypotenuse. And what I need to find is the angle. I want to find this angle over here. So that means this is going to be our adjacent. So we have the adjacent. We have the hypotenuse. So what I'm going to find is this angle using cosine. Cos theta equals to 6 over 12. Theta equals to cos inverse of 1 over 2, which is going to give us 60 degrees. So this is 60 degrees now, which means this is 30 degrees. So if this is 60 and this is also 60, total angle is 120 degrees. Once again, I'm going to draw it separately over here so that you have a clearer idea. This is 12, this is 12, this is 120. The reason why we're doing all of this is because we're trying to find the area of the cross section. This area, I'm trying to find the area of this so that we can multiply by that length and get the volume of the water. So what we can do is we can begin with finding the area of the triangle, this triangle, and then we can find the area of the sector, this sector that we're making, subtract the two, and that would give us the area of the shaded part, like the volume basically. So area 1, which is your triangle, that's going to be 1 over 2 times 12 times 12 times sine of 120, which is basically going to give us 62.35 centimeters square. Area 2, which is going to be your sector, that is going to be 120 divided by 360 times pi times r square, which is 12. And that is going to give us 150.79 centimeters square. Once we found area 1 and area 2, we can subtract the 2 to get the area of the shaded region. Area of shaded region is going to be 150.79 minus 62.35. And that gives us 88.44 centimeters square. Using this, we're going to find the volume of water, which is 88.44 times 100. 88.44 times 100, which is basically going to give us 8,844 centimeter cube. This is your final answer. We know the longitudinal length was 1 meter. 1 meter is 100 centimeters. So we multiplied the cross-section area for the shaded region, which is 88.44 with the length, and that's 100, and that's 8,844. That's your answer. Part B says a rectangular fish tank with length 42 centimeters and width 35 centimeters full of water. A stone lies at the bottom of the tank. When the stone is removed from the tank, the depth of the water decreases by 0.2 centimeters. The density of the stone is 2.2 grams per centimeter cube. Calculate the mass of the stone. Now, as you would know, density equals to mass over volume. It's also given in the question. So what we do is we begin with creating a visualization of what they're saying. So we have a rectangular tank with length 42 centimeters, width 35. A stone lies at the bottom of the tank. When the stone is removed from the tank, the depth of the water decreases by 0.2. So this we're assuming is 0.2. This is your water. Okay. The density of the stone was 2.2 grams per centimeter cube. So to find the mass of the stone, we need to first understand when we remove the stone from the water, the level of the water decreases by 0.2 centimeters, which means if we look at the volume of the stone, that's going to be 0.2 times 35 times 42, which is going to give us 294 centimeter cube. Then to find the mass, we do density times volume. Density is 2.2, volume is 294. Multiply the two, and you should get 646.8 grams. That is the mass of the stone. Next part is diagram shows a cuboid ABCDEFGH. Calculate the angle that AG makes with the base of the cuboid. So AG makes with the base of the cuboid. So this is the angle that we're trying to find. So for that, we first need to find AC. This is our triangle. So this is a right angle triangle over here because it's a cuboid and the base is like quadrilateral. So we can apply Pythagoras to find AC. AC square equals to 8 square plus 12 square. AC equals to 64 plus 144 being square rooted. And that equals to 14.42 centimeters. We already know the length of GC, which is 15. We can see that this is another right angle triangle. So we have the opposite, we have the adjacent. We can use tangent to find theta. Tan theta equals to 15 over 14.42. Tan inverse of this fraction. And that gives us 46.13 degrees. That's the angle that AG makes with the base of the cuboid. Question 5 says simplify 25x to the power of 6 whole power 3 over 2. So whenever we have fractional indices and the indices is outside the bracket, that power will be distributed with all of the terms inside the bracket, which means it's going to be 25 to the power of 3 over 2 times x to the power of 6 and then whole power 3 over 2. Now we know 25 is 5 square. So replace 25 with 5 square. So it's going to be 2 times 3 over 2 now. And 6 times 3 over 2. Whenever there's a power outside the bracket, inside the bracket, both the powers get multiplied, which is also one of the rules of indices. So that's 5 cubed times x to the power of 9. 5 cubed is 125. So 125 times x to the power of 9 is your answer. Part B says, these are the first 5 terms of a sequence. 1 over 6, 1, 6, 36, 216. Find the nth term of the sequence. So if you notice, we're multiplying 6 to each consecutive term, which means we're following the 6 times table. Since we're following the 6 times tables, the nth term can be 6 to the power of n, because everything 6 to the power of 1 is 6, 6 to the power of 2 is 36, 6 to the power of 3 is 216, and so on. But for the first one, it's going to be 6 to the power of -1. And the second one is 6 to the power of 0. So we're starting from n equals to -1. So to make 6 to the power of n and give us 1 over 6, what we'll do is we'll write it as 6 to the power of n minus 2. Why n minus 2? Because when n equals to 1, it's going to be 6 to the power of 1 minus 2, which is 6 to the power of -1, and that gives us 1 over 6. If we use 6 to the power of n, you can see that our starting term is 6, not 1 over 6. Hence, this is your nth term. Part C is expand and simplify. So we have a triple bracket expansion. We start with expanding the first two brackets and then expand the result with the third bracket. So begin with this. It's going to be x squared minus 3x plus 4x minus 12. We multiply x with x minus 3 first, then plus 4 with x minus 3. And write the third bracket with it. So that's x squared plus x minus 12. Collect the like terms, simplify your equation. Now, x squared gets multiplied with 3x, which is 3x cubed. X squared times -1 is negative x squared. X times 3x is positive 3x squared. X times -1, negative x. Then negative 12 times 3x is negative 36x. And negative 12 times -1 is positive 12. Collect your like terms once again, and that gives us 3x cubed plus 2x squared, negative 37x plus 12. That is your final answer. Next part says show that 3x plus 5 plus 7 or x minus 2 equals to x simplifies to 2x squared plus x minus 3 equals to 0. So what we're going to do is we're going to convert this into this quadratic equation. I'm going to begin with getting rid of the fraction on the left-hand side. So I can do that by multiplying the entire equation by x minus 2, which means we'll have x minus 2 times 3x plus 5. Then again x minus 2 times 7 over x minus 2. And then x times x minus 2. X minus 2 times 3x plus 5 is going to be 3x squared plus 5x minus 6x minus 10 plus 7, because the x minus 2 get cancelled out. And this would be x squared minus 2x. Then we bring everything on one side. So 3x squared minus x squared minus x plus 2x minus 3 equal to 0. That's 2x squared plus x minus 3 equal to 0. It is exactly the same as what we have in the question. Then they're asking us to factorize this quadratic equation. 2x squared plus x minus 3 equal to 0. 2 times 3 is 6. Factors of 6 are 2 and 3 and 6 and 1. We can replace x with 3x minus 2x. So 2x squared plus 3x minus 2x minus 3 equal to 0. So now we factor by grouping. We split the equation into two groups and factorize it separately. Between 2x squared and 3x, we have x common. So 2x plus 3 in the bracket. And between 2x and negative 3, we have negative 1 common. So again, 2x plus 3 in the bracket. Now we can see that between x and negative 1, 2x plus 3 is common. So that leaves x minus 3 in the bracket. So one value of x is negative 3 over 2, and the other is positive 1. And it says a solid cylinder has base, radius x, and height 3x. The total surface area of the cylinder is the same as the total surface area of the solid hemisphere of radius 5y. Show that x squared equals to 75y squared over 8. So for this, what we're going to do is that we start with the cylinder. The formula is 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi rh. Radius is x, so 2 pi x squared, and height is 3x. 2 pi x times 3x. So 2 pi x squared plus 6 pi x squared, and that is 8 pi x squared. Now, we talk about the surface area of hemisphere, sorry. For a sphere, the top part is going to be 2 pi r square, and the bottom part is going to be pi r square, because the surface is a flat circle as well, and then the top curved part. So that's basically 3 pi r square. Radius is 5y over here, so 5y squared. So that's 25 times 3, 75 pi y squared. So this saying the total surface area of the cylinder and the hemisphere are the same. So 8 pi x squared is equals to 75 pi y squared. Cancel out the pi. You have to make x squared the subject. So x squared is 75 y squared over 8. This is what they were asking us to prove, and that's your answer. Question 6 is ABCD is a quadrilateral with AB equals to 10.4 centimeters. AD is 6.5 centimeters. Angle DAB is 64. Angle BDC is 56. And angle DBC is 42. Show that BD equals to 9.55 centimeters corrected 2 decimal places. BD, that is this one. So we can easily do that by using the triangle ABD. We can see that we have two lengths in the angle between them, which means we can easily use the cosine rule to find the third length. So that's going to be BD squared equals to 6.5 squared plus 10.4 squared minus 2 times 6.5 times 10.4 times cos of 64. That's going to give us 150.41 minus 59.267. Remember, always solve this together, multiply these together, and then subtract the result from the sum of these two square numbers. Don't do it first, like, subtract 2 times 6.5 times 10.4 from 10.4 square and then multiply it by cos 64. That will give you an incorrect answer. Solve the box first and then subtract it from the other two. So this is going to give us square root of 91.143 and BD is 9.55 centimeters, which is what they were asking us to show. Show that the angle BCD is 112. this. Straightforward, subtract 26 and 42 from 180. And that gives us 112, which is exactly what they were asking us to show. Then it's asking us to calculate CD. This we know is 112. This we know is 9.55. We have to calculate this. So in this case, we'll use sine rule because we have one complete set of angle and length, which is angle C and length of BD. We have angle B and we have to find DC. So it's going to be 9.55 over sine of 112 equals to CD or X, like I'll write CD, over sine of 42. Cross multiply. So 9.55 times sine 42 over sine 112 equals to CD. And that gives us 6.89 centimeters for CD. Find the shortest distance from D to AB. So this will be a right angle triangle. So shortest distance always the perpendicular distance. This is 9.55. And we have to find the shortest distance from D to AB. So we can easily, we have this right angle as well. We have DA, we have the angle, we need to find this. So we need to find sine, we need to use sine to find this distance because that's the opposite. Sine of 64 equals to x over 6.5. 6.5 times sine of 64. And that is going to give us 5.84 centimeters. Question 7 says solve 3x minus 8 equals to 6 minus 4x. So we're going to collect the like terms on each side. These two are like terms. And these two are like terms. So 3x plus 4x equals to 6 plus 8. Whenever we move terms from one side to the other, their sign changes. So if it's positive, it becomes negative and vice versa. And if they're being multiplied, they divide on the other side. 7x equals to 14, x equals to 2. Then factorize fully. 10a squared plus 5a. So in this case, we take the greatest common factor, which is 5a. That leaves us with 2a plus 1 in the bracket. So that is your fully factorized form. We can't further factorize it. Then it says factorize fully 2x minus 3 whole square minus 9. In this case, what we're going to do is, if you notice, 2x minus 3 is squared. And 9 is also a square number. It's 3 squared. So they're being subtracted, which means it's following the difference of perfect squares, which was a square minus b square equals to a plus b times a minus b. Over here, our a is 2x minus 3 and our b is 3. So for 2x minus 3 whole square minus 9 is going to be 2x minus 3 plus 3 times 2x minus 3 minus 3, which is 2x times 2x minus 6. We can further take 2 common from the bracket. So that's going to be 4x times x minus 3. This is your fully factorized answer. Part D says find f of 4. They've given us the function for f, which is 1 over 4x minus 1, where x does not exist at 1 over 4. So f of 4 is going to be 1 over 4 times 4 minus 1, which is 1 over 15. Then find g of g2. So first find g of 2, which is 3 to the power of 2 and 9. Then we find g of 9, which is basically g of 2. So 3 to the power of 9, which is basically going to give us 19,683. Then the question is saying find k when g of k equals to f of 7. So g of k would be 3 to the power of k. F of 7 is going to be 1 over 4 times 7 minus 1, which is 1 over 27. So 3 to the power of k equals to 1 over 27. We know 27 is 3 cubed. That means 3 to the power of k is equal to 3 to the power of negative 3, and k is negative 3. You bring the base up, which means the power will become negative. So whenever the bases are same, the powers are also equal. So k equals to negative 3. Question 8 says a baker decorates X small cakes and Y large cakes. In one day, he decorates not more than 16 small cakes, less than 10 large cakes, more small cakes than large cakes, and a total of not more than 24 cakes. One of the inequalities that shows information is X is less than equal to 16, which is for this one. Write down the other three inequalities in X and Y. So less than 10 large cakes is going to be Y is less than 10. More small cakes than large cakes will be X is greater than Y. A total of not more than 24 cakes is going to be X plus Y is less than equal to 24. These are your inequalities. On the grid, draw 4 straight lines and shade the unwanted regions to show these inequalities. Label the region R, which satisfies the 4 inequalities. So we have X is less than equal to 16. Y is less than 10. X is greater than Y. And X plus Y is less than equal to 24. So let's begin with drawing a line at X equals to 16 first. Then Y is less than 10. So for this, we need to draw a dotted line. So it's going to be like this. The reason why it's dotted line because it's less than. And the reason why for X less than equal to 16 is a straight line because it has the equal to sign over there. So your dotted line. Then for X greater than Y, it's going to be the Y equals to X line, but drawing it dotted over here is going to be a struggle. So wait, I'm going to draw it normally, but I'm going to label it. This is dotted. Draw a dotted line. Remember to draw a dotted line, you won't draw a straight line for this because it's greater than, not, there's no equal to sign. And for the other one, X plus Y is less than equal to 24. That is going to be, wait, let me just label this as well. Y less than 10. X 16. This is X, Y. Okay. So for this, if X is 0, Y is 24. And if Y is 0, X is also 24. So this and this. And we draw another straight line. Label this x plus y less than equal to 4. Now we do the shading part. So we have to shade the unwanted region. So if x is less than equal to 16, that is unwanted region is the greater part. So this is the unwanted region. Y is less than 10, so we shade the greater part. X is greater than y, so that is going to be over here. And x plus y is less than equal to 24, so the greater part is over here. So our unshaded region is this. This is region R. Because over here, your y is less than 10. Over here, x is less than 16. Over here, x is greater than y. And what's it called? X plus y is less than equal to 24 over here as well. Yeah. This is region R. Patsy says the baker earns $8 for decorating a small cake and $12 for decorating a large cake. Use your diagram to find the largest amount the baker can earn in one day by decorating cakes. Question 9 says OAB is a sector of a circle center or radius 17 centimeters. OCD is sector of a circle center or radius 10 centimeters. OCE and ODB are straight lines and angle AOB is 60 degrees. The perimeter of shaded region, the perimeter of the shaded shape ADBC can be written in the form of A pi plus B centimeters. Find the value of A and B. So for this, what we're going to do is that we can subtract 17 and 10, and that leaves us 7 for this. And now we need to find these length of arcs. So for the first arc, it's going to be 60 over 360 times 2 pi r is 10 because we're talking about OCD times 10. That is going to give us 10 pi over 3. Then talking about OAB, that is arc 2. That's going to be 60 over 360 times 2 pi times 17 because 17 is the radius for that. That is going to give us 17 pi over 3. So now perimeter is going to be 10 pi over 3 plus 17 pi over 3 plus 7 plus 7, which is 9 pi plus 14 centimeters. So A is 9, B is 14. Part B says the diagram shows a regular hexagon. The area of the hexagon is 127.3 centimeters squared. Show that the length of one side of the hexagon is 7 centimeters, correct to one decimal place. So first, I'm going to divide the regular hexagon into 6 identical triangles. So that means for this angle, I'm going to do 360 divided by 6 because there's 6 triangles and that's 60 degrees, which means all of these angles are 60. Now, if we draw this triangle separately over here, this is 60, okay? They have given us the area of the hexagon, which is 127.3 centimeters square. This length is going to be the same because it's a regular hexagon. So I can use the area of a triangle formula, the 1 over 2 AB sine C. 127.3 equals to 1 over 2 times, let's call this A square times sine of 60. I'm going to multiply this entire thing by 6 because there are 6 triangles. And since the area of the hexagon is 127.3, so we have to multiply the triangle area by 6. 6 divided by 2 is going to be 3, so 127.3 equals to 3. Sine 60 is root 3 over 2 times A squared. So 2 times 127.3 divided by 3 root 3 equals to A squared, which gives us 48.99 equals to A squared. Square root both sides. That's 6.9 equals to A. Round that to 7.0. So that's your answer. Then it says the hexagon is the cross section of a prism of length 10 centimeters. Find the volume of the prism. Easy. You just multiply the cross section by the length, and that is 1,273 centimeter cube. Let's just calculate the surface area of the prism. So for the surface area, find the area of these rectangular faces. So that's going to be 7 by 10. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 faces. 6 times 7 times 10 plus 2 times 127.3. And that is going to give us 674.6 centimeters square. Question 10 says A is the point 6, 2 and B is the point 3, negative 4. Find the coordinates of the midpoint of AB. So that's going to be 6 plus 3 over 2. 2 minus 4 over 2. 6 plus 3 is 9. 9 over 2, which is 4.5. 2 minus 4 is negative 2. Negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. So 4.5 and negative 1. Calculate the length of AB. So that's going to be square root of y2 minus y1 whole square plus x2 minus x1 whole square. Negative 6 whole square plus negative 3 whole square. So that's 36 plus 9. Square root of 45. And that gives us 6.71 centimeters. The equation of line L is 4x plus 3y minus 12 equal to 0. Find the gradient of L. So we need to rearrange this into slope-intercept form. We take negative 12 and 4x to the other side. So negative 4x plus 12. Divide both sides by 3. So negative 4x over 3 plus 12 over 3. Which is y equals to negative 4 over 3x plus 4. So gradient is negative 4 over 3. Find the coordinates of the point where the line crosses the y-axis. That means you put x equals to 0. So that's going to be y equals to negative 4 over 3 times 0 plus 12 over 3, which is 12 over 3. So that's 0. 12 over 3 is 4. That's 4. Then it says line P is perpendicular to L and passes through 6, 5. Find the equation of P in the form of y equals to mx plus c. Line P is perpendicular to L. So if this is L, this is P. L had the gradient of -4/3. So M2 would be 3/4. Why? Which is for line P. In perpendicular lines, M1 times M2, M1 being the gradient of line 1, and M2 being the gradient of line 2, the product equals to -1. So if -4/3 times M2 is -1, which means M2 is 3/4. The point is already identified 6, 5. So we use this point slope form. Y minus y1 equals to M times x minus x1. So that's 4y minus 20 equals to 3x minus 18. 4y equals to 3x minus 18 plus 20. 3x plus 2. Y equals to 3/4x plus 1/2. 3/4x plus 1/2. Because 2 divided by 4 is 1/2. So that's your line and slope intercept form. Question 11 says the point -1, 6 lies on a curve. This curve has the derived function dy over dx equals to -4x cubed minus 9x squared plus 5. Show that -1, 6 is stationary point of the curve. So stationary points are found by putting the derivative equal to 0, especially the first derivative. So 0 equals to -4x cubed minus 9x squared plus 5. To show that this is the stationary point, I'm going to substitute x equals to -1 and see if both sides equal to 0. So -4 times -1 cubed minus 9 times -1 squared plus 5. +4 minus 9 plus 5. And as you can see, both sides equal to 0, which means x equals to -1 and y equals to 6 is a stationary point of the curve. Because when you substitute x equals to -1 in the first derivative, that gives us a 0. A different curve has the equation y equals to 2x cubed minus 6x plus 8. Calculate the gradient of the tangent to this curve at the point -2. So let's differentiate the curve first, because the gradient of the tangent and the gradient of the curve are exactly the same. So that's going to be 6x squared minus 6. In differentiation, you bring the power down, multiply that by the coefficient, and then subtract 1 from the power. So 3 times 2 is 6, and 2 minus 1, and 3 minus 1 is 2. Then same, the 1 power comes down, so that's multiplied by -6, and 1 minus 1 is 0. And remember that the derivative of a constant is always 0. That's why there's no constant over here. So now they want us to find the gradient at the point -2, 2. So we put x equals to -2. So that's 6 times -2 squared minus 6. 6 times 4 minus 6. So 24 minus 6, and that is going to be 18. So this is your answer, 18. Once again, gradient of the curve is the same as the gradient of the tangent. However, gradient of the normal is not going to be the same as the gradient of the tangent of the curve. Then it says find the x coordinates of the stationary point of this curve. So we put the derivative equal to 0. Bring 6 to the other side. 6 divided by 6. That is 1. So that's going to be plus minus 1 equals to x. So that's +1 and -1. That is your answer.